All right, well, welcome. Tonight we've got Amy Mahoney with our Help My Kids Can't Write, Advancing Thinking Through Writing, which is a wonderful way to help support kids in learning how to write is getting them to think. Just a little bit about the Reading League in Utah. So there is a Reading League National, and then a lot of the states, almost all of them now, have their own local chapters. And so in Utah, we started the Reading League chapter. There was the originators, which I believe, Amy, you were an originator in January of 2025, that this group was officially a chapter. And really the goal of the group is to help network educators to really empower us with evidence-based, evidence-aligned reading instruction, build our awareness, build our understanding, and our daily use of those practices, and really for the benefit of children. We're here to make sure all kids can learn to read at high levels, knowing that 95 to 98% of kids can. And in terms of just our membership, many of you participate in these as part of being a member, and others will just join us and pay the fee to take in the learning. So we've got coaches, teachers, higher education faculty, pre-service teachers, administrators, district office folks, interventionists, specialists, all the things. If you have a title, you're probably a member. There's a member with that title in the group. So in terms of just our introductions, I am Jennifer Thronson. I am your host. I will just be managing things like the chat box and sharing our upcoming events after Amy's presentation today. And would love to know who's here with us for Amy's it helps as a presenter to kind of see who your audience is so you can speak to them more specifically. So in the chat box, if you'll put your name, the role that you serve, where you're coming from, and if there's anything that you're like dying to know in the world of writing, feel free to put it in with your name, and that might even inspire Amy to be like, oh, I will add this in as we go tonight. Sorry, Amy, I'm putting you on the spot, but I know how good you are. And then let me introduce our guest, our presenter for the evening, as she's got a deep expertise that I think we'll all get to benefit from tonight. She serves in one of our regional service centers, the Northern Utah region, as a pre-K-12 instructional coach. She is dedicated to continuous learning for herself, as well as supporting the learning of others, and holds a Master's of Education in Curriculum Instruction with an emphasis in ESL and ESOL. She also has credentials and endorsements in reading, coaching, multilingual learners, and is a LETRS facilitator, which is terrific to have her have that knowledge as well. And she's currently, because she's that lifelong learner, getting her 7th through 12th grade ELA endorsement. So in addition to her knowledge and background and her coaching role, she also serves as a clinical supervisor for Becoming Teachers for WGU, an adjunct professor for Southern Utah University, and like I said, is on the board as our treasurer for the Reading League Utah. She takes care of the money, so she's got skills in lots of directions. She can provide specialized facilitation in LETRS early childhood, keys to literacy, specifically in early writing and content writing, a Cadence reading and math mentor. It's a really long list, friends. There's so much here. Amy's foundational classroom experience. She's been a preschool, both in an English and Spanish setting, kindergarten and first grade dual immersion on the English side, and summer school, second grade intervention. She's transitioned from this coaching where she's served as an elementary coach to focusing on lots of topics, including multi-tiered system supports, and is now really supporting pre-K-12 in literacy, and it sounds like math as well. So really a robust background that Amy was going to be bringing to us tonight. Outside of her professional life, she's an avid learner who loves challenging herself. If you didn't pick that up already, I think you got that feel. And she lives in Heber with her husband and 3 dogs, and is a mother of 4 children, ages 17 to 22. You have too many college kids, Amy, to recharge. She enjoys traveling with her family, attending sporting events, reading, and spending as much time as she can soaking up the sun, which hopefully we're on that trajectory to get you some more sunshine, Amy. So with that said, Amy, I'm going to stop sharing my screen and hand things over to you to display. And welcome, everyone. Let's get to what you came for.
Thank you, Jennifer. Most of that is true.
Feel free to clarify if I'm overrepresented.
No, it's all true-ish. But I definitely don't carry the expertise as, some of the gurus in this field. I just love learning from them all, and I'm going to regurgitate a lot of what I've been learning over the past few years and just hopefully share some good instruction with you, and give you some practical ideas to go back to your classroom and start implementing, or if you're coaching, supporting teachers that you work with. I do have the slides that Jennifer's going to drop in the chat. So that you have access to them if you want them. But today I'm going to be focused on information from the writing revolution, early childhood letters, regular letters, the writing rope, keys to early writing, keys to content writing, and then there's some SRSD stuff in there. So hopefully you're all familiar with the writing rope. We are going to be touching on that and just talking about, how all these strands have to be woven together, and how it's not just one of the talents, but the result of several distinct skills that are working together in harmony. And so we're going to dive into that. We're going to look at the simple view of writing, not so simple view. So we have those foundational skills with the composition into the skilled writing expression. And then I want you to notice that executive function bubble up top, because that is often overlooked, and it's a huge area that we're going to talk a little bit about, because writing is one of the most cognitive demanding tasks that we have. It requires that simultaneous management of low-level transcription, that handwriting and spelling skills, and then the high level of that self-regulation, being able to plan and organize and monitor, and really looking at executive function as, that working memory, the inhibitory control and cognitive flexibility, how important those play. So I have this cute little graphic for you, but in thinking about working memory, really focused on that ability to hold that info in their mind and manipulate it. And our students, they have to be able to hold their thoughts in their head while then they try and simultaneously spell it, do the punctuation, remember their next thought. So how important that is. And then looking at distractions, being able to control their impulses, staying focused on their task. Kids that struggle with inhibitory control often are not focused, and so they struggle there. Cognitive flexibility is that switching between the rules and perspectives, and really we have that micro level with the spelling and grammar, and that macro level looking at, arguments or persuasives. So if a sentence isn't working, students that have cognitive flexibility can delete or try something a different way. They think outside the box, and so those are really important. This is my continuum that AI failed me, and I noticed it a few months ago, but I didn't have it redo it. But it's preschool into middle school. We're missing first grade there, but we do love first grade. But in preschool, we're really looking at that foundational stage in preschool and kindergarten. We're building oral language. We're working on dictation, picture word strategy, story strategies. Then we dive into first grade, second grade, where we're really focused on those sentence level skills, building that who and do, sentence expansion. And then when we go to third grade, we're more structural. Third through fifth is where we're using top-down topic webs or 2-column notes. We're starting to create solid paragraphs. And then as we go into middle school, we're in that analytical stage where really we have the flexibility in our writing. So we use all the scaffolds, all the sentence level skills, paragraph level skills that we've learned, and we're really focused on that content. So that's kind of the continuum I'm going to take you through today, and hopefully model some things that are useful. This graphic is one of my favorite from early childhood letters. It's Lucy Hart Polson and Louisa Moats, two of my heroes. But it just shows literacy development versus writing development. The next activity I'm going to show you is really going to take you through conventional phonetic, semi-phonetic, and pre-alphabetic, the mock random letter string, mocks letters. So I want to show you this. It's a picture word story strategy, and the focus is really to start with drawing and then to model each developmental stage. So I actually filmed a quick video of me teaching with it, so I'm going to show that. I hope you can hear it. Give me a thumbs up if you can. I'm excited to model the picture word strategy. So this is one of my favorite to use in the early childhood setting. Picture word strategy is awesome. It's kind of the bridge between oral language and written expression. So it is gradual release, responsibility, and kind of transitions from purely visual storytelling to the alphabetic representation. So in the picture word strategy, you're going to start with drawing. Research shows that the act of drawing helps kids retrieve details from memory that if you went straight to text, they may forget. So the drawing kind of is a form of rehearsal for writing. So you're going to want to have an empty space, whether you draw a line, fold it, but they can draw first. So my sentence is, I lost my bracelet. So I'm going to start by drawing a bracelet here so I can talk about it, build that oral language. I lost my bracelet. And now I'm going to write it conventionally. So my conventional would be orthographically and grammatically correct. So I'm going to write, I lost my bracelet. And when you're modeling this, you want to make sure that however you're writing, if you're on the board, that you're right in front of, and that your strokes are going top to bottom, left to right, and that you're modeling it correctly. You don't want to be reaching across or back here. You want your kids to see writing right in front of them. So even like modeling it upside down, I'm really great at modeling upside down, but it's not great practice. You want to make sure you're going top to bottom, left to right. For this video, I am going to put the paper down in front of me, but normally you would model it standing up. So next we have the phonetic stage. So this is writing words using close letter sound correspondence. This happens in K2, and for this, I'm actually going to be segmenting the words. So I have I, and I'm going to segment I, a, it. And now I'm going to show you, this is the phonetic stage. I lost my bracelet. And then we're going to go to that semi-phonetic stage. So this is when they start beginning to make connections between letters and speech sounds. And this happens late preschool, kindergarten. And for this, I'm really going to be isolating that first sound. So I have I, lost, my, bracelet, and then I have, I lost my bracelet. So we have conventional, we have our phonetic, and we have our semi-phonetic here. And then we have random letter strings, and this takes place age 2 to 5. So I know Amy, so I have an A in my name, a lowercase a, maybe I know some M's. And I'm just gonna string together random letters to say, I lost my bracelet. And then I have mock letters would be next, and that would be, some of my letters are correct, but I might have some swirlies, some symbols, but some of my letters. And then I have, of course, my scribbles at the bottom. So when I am teaching, I can intentionally focus on the levels and teach within 2 levels. Always modeling this conventional because I want kids to see it orthographically and grammatically correct. But when I'm teaching whole group, I can actually draw attention to, oh, Amy, you're really good at segmenting your words. Can you help me here? Because when we write, we segment to write and we blend to read. And so using those tools that we've been working on, foundational, first sound, segmenting, are great to transfer to our writing. So I say segment lost, and we do it together, my, I, and we build it. And maybe Matt is really great at isolating first sounds. So I have that student help me with isolating those first sounds. And then that kiddo that is still struggling with sounds, but knows the letters in their name, they can help me build the letters, the random letter strings. And knowing where a student is at is so important, because then I can intentionally teach them to their next level, right? So I know that if a kid is doing really good at isolating that first sound in that semi-phonetic letter and level, and they're beginning to connect between those letters and speech sounds, that I can now try and intentionally help them to segment their words and see if we can get them to that next level. And then those kiddos that are doing great phonetically, right, I'm going to start explicitly showing them. Maybe it's high frequency words, or maybe it's some of our phonics patterns, but explicitly focused on some of the things that they've already learned and start implementing them in their writing. So Picture word strategy, it's awesome. Choosing a sentence a day, so great. It's something that was really eye-opening for me, that when you give students the option to go between the levels and you understand where they're at, you're so much more intentional about what they need next to be successful. So I hope you find this helpful. I'm excited to model the picture word strategy. Okay, so that's the picture word strategy. If you have any questions, feel free to drop it in the chat. But that is something, even thinking of drawing with shapes, right? I can draw circles, I can draw rectangles, and I can draw them in isolation, and then I can start making them be connected. But we want our kids to be able to build language through drawing, right? We want to give them that opportunity. If I can say it, I can write it or draw it. James Britton says, reading and writing float on a sea of talk. And that is a soapbox I'm always standing on and willing to die on, is that if we model complex language and our kids are hearing it, and then we give them an opportunity to speak and share in complex language, then they will have the opportunity to write and read using complex language. So we're going to read a quote in a minute from Tim Shanahan that talks a lot about that. But this picture word strategy, it can be used to engage children in writing, demonstrating all the different developmental levels. And once you start demonstrating the developmental levels, it's really fun to see how they grow. It's appropriate. It's a great approach. Kids get excited when you let them participate at their level. They feel successful. They're engaged in it. They start using the writing center in the preschool setting during free time, but then they're motivated to move to that next level. So just an example, if I have the sentence, I want to climb a tree, my phonetic would be, I want to climb a tree, and we would segment each one of those words. My semi-phonetic would be isolating that first sound. I want to climb a tree. And random letter strings would just be random letters that they know representing that sentence, I want to climb a tree. So the ability to compose a written sentence depends first on the ability to compose that sentence orally. And that's Dr. Louisa Moats that shares that. And that is something we have to get them talking. We have to build language. In the video, I talked about modeling top to bottom, left to right. Handwriting is directly related to letter recognition, reading comprehension, decoding, letter sound association, spelling, oral language, phonological processing, grammatical abilities, attention, visual motor skills. Handwriting, along with grammar, shouldn't be taught in isolation. It should be embedded in the writing instruction. That should be reading and writing being reciprocally taught with each other. So I have some quotes here from Writing Revolution. As we dive into, we're kind of leaving that preschool kinder and moving into kinder to second, where we're going to start doing sentence level skills. So this quote says, when done in a systematic and sequenced way, teaching students to write is equivalent to teaching them how to think. When teachers embed explicit writing instruction in the content of curriculum, no matter the subject area, their student, oh, I think I'm missing part of it. They see their students' academic abilities blossom. And then this last thought is just that when students write in response to something they've read, their comprehension improves. And there's so much research to support that. In Writing Revolution, I linked an article here. It's called One Sentence at a Time. It's just one of my favorite articles. This is the 6 principles that Writing Revolution has there. It's students need explicit instruction, and I can't preach that enough, especially in beginning early elementary grades. Our kids have to have support at the sentence level. They cannot write a paragraph if they cannot write a solid sentence. Sentences are the building blocks of all writing, and when embedded in content of curriculum, writing instruction is powerful teaching, and the content of curriculum drives the rigor of the writing activities. And the grammar is best taught in context of student writing. And the 2 most important phases of the writing process are the planning and revising. And we're going to get into that at the end with a graphic. But this quote, I have it bolded because normally I make people do a closed reading with me. So if you want to when I get to the bolded, read it out loud, but I'll continue reading it. But writing is essential for academic success, social communication, and a successful career. Evidence shows that writing instruction reinforces and improves reading skills. So we don't want to separate our reading and writing time. Reading and writing time should be together. This is just another thing from Writing Revolution where it talks about good writing requires deliberate practice. And I love this idea that all of these strategies and activities can be woven into any curriculum, right? So the Writing Revolution is a method of teaching content as much as it's a method of teaching writing. So there's no separate writing block, no separate writing curriculum. Teachers in all subject areas can just use these activities. I linked in here the Writing Revolution, just their online free resources. We're going to look at some templates in a minute. And then the Keys to Literacy free resources. They are all great resources. But we're going to start at Writing Revolution has a great pacing guide for all grades starting in kindergarten, and they go all the way up until 9th through 11th grade now, which is awesome. But you can find those online. But in LETRS, we learned that we want to start building a complete sentence. So we start with that who or the what, and then with that action. What are they doing, thinking, or feeling? So if I have the example, the Cowardly Lion wiped his eyes with his tail. The Tin Man needed oil to move his arms. The Stuffed Scarecrow wanted more straw. I can either provide the who and ask what they're doing, or I can ask the who and provide what they're doing, or I can have students generate both, right? And again, I can't say it enough. You're always going to start with that oral practice. So anytime you write, there's an oral practice involved. As the teacher, I'm probably doing a think aloud because I have to build background knowledge and I have to use the vocabulary and using complex language so that they can hear it, so they can then turn and talk to a neighbor, work in small groups, but have the opportunity to share out loud. A complete sentence, it doesn't matter if it's your subject and your predicate, your noun phrase, your verb phrase, or your who and what with your action. But that is our goal for students to be able to write a strong sentence. Students should learn to write strong sentences that convey their intended meaning so they can engage readers. Teachers should focus at that sentence level first and sentence construction and encourage students to consider the meaning and the syntax of the sentences they develop. And they should be explicitly demonstrating how sentence construction and sentence mechanics like punctuation, capitalization, how they interact. So I have this little sentence level like aha, because we have to stop going to paragraphs or giving kids prompts where they don't have the language or background knowledge or vocabulary to complete the task that we're asking of them. Reading and writing are two sides of the same coin. When we teach them together, we're not just saving time, we're deepening the students' understanding of how language works. Research shows that when writing about what you read, it improves your comprehension, and reading high quality texts improves your writing. And that's by Dr. Tim Shanahan. I have index cards on this slide because we just talked about that sentence creation, that who and do. And one of my favorite activities that I do starting in kindergarten is take an index card and fold it in half. And, if you read Peter Rabbit, right, your who is Peter Rabbit, and they write it on the one side, and then you look at the back side, and what does he do? He loses his coat, right? Or he's naughty, whatever you want to say there. And then you open it up, and on the lines, you then write that sentence with the who and the do connected. I also, in looking at the pacing guides, if you're third, fourth, fifth grade, a lot of teachers are like, yeah, my kids can't do the sentence level. So go back, try this index card thing. We did it with some fourth graders last year, and I was so impressed with where they ran with it. And I'm going to show you some of that in just a minute. But one of the big things when we think about the IES research recommendations, having daily opportunities to write is essential. And that is something that we have to make sure that we have writing embedded in all content areas. So time for writing practice can occur in the context of other content area instruction. Additionally, students can write before, during, and or after reading to articulate what they already know, what they want to know, or what they learned. When teachers integrate writing tasks with other content area lessons, students may think more critically about the content area material. And that is a quote from Graham. Sentence building would be the next level. We have that simple sentence expansion where we're doing the who or the what with the action, and then we add that where or that when or the how to it. So my sentence here is my who is the elves. What is their action? They danced. Where? On a table. When? At night. How? With silent feet. So my new sentence is the elves, instead of having the elves danced, I have the elves danced on a table at night with silent feet. An extended sentence example would be now I'm adding, how many or what kind of something. And then maybe there's a what in there or a for whom or a to. And so the alpha wolf gave hunting lessons to his cubs in the evening by the river. They don't all have to have all of them. So this one, it's omitting the how, right? We didn't add the how to it. This comes from LETRS. There's a great section that has multiple examples of simple sentence examples and extended sentence examples. And using your questions to see what roles your words play or group of words play in a sentence is a great way to check on it. This is the index card activity I said I did with fourth grade. Their into reading curriculum was a text about the Beatles. It was titled The Beatles Were Fab. And so we did the who and do on day one. I had an index card. We did a think aloud for my I do. The we do, they got to turn and talk and share their ideas. We came up, then we wrote the who or the what. Then we did the action. So my card on one side said the Beatles. The back side said change music forever. We opened it up. The Beatles changed music forever. That was day one. Day two, the teacher then ran with it and they got to talk about where they did it, in London, when, whatever year it was, and how. There was multiple things that they learned in the text that they could have pulled for the how. So then they were able to do a simple who and do, and then do an expansion. And with it being so explicit, the kids were very successful with it, and teacher buy-in went through the roof. It was awesome. Keys to Literacy has these awesome naming and action buckets. I like the visual of it because students can sort naming or action parts. And I think that's really fun because helping them identify is a great activity. I included the syntax knowledge to practice book on here. It's on Amazon. It's just one of my favorite books. And I think it lends a lot of great knowledge and ideas and the oral language piece to the content that we're discussing. In the links of the slides, I have some simple sentence with boxes, some with lines. I have a subject predicate, if you want to call it that. Focus on that, extended sentence as well. But these are just documents that you can save and use across any text as you're doing it. So when you expand the sentence, we want kids to focus on who, what, when, where, why, how. And by doing that, like Writing Revolution has templates already on their website that are free in that free resources where you can change out your kernel sentence, type in there, and then have the activity. Or you can make it cuter if that's what you want. But this kernel sentence was children can play. And then we said when, during the spring, where, outside, why, because warmer weather. And so the new expanded sentence turns into during the spring, children can play outside because of the warmer weather. And this is a template that an awesome second grade teacher in North Summit put together. She had the subject and predicate for day one, and they completed a sentence, and then they came back and they built a better sentence with the who, the what, the where, the when, that went along with their into reading texts. The next task or sentence level skill would be doing a because, but, so. So using that because to explain why something is true, the but to help change direction, and the so to show cause and effect. Again, you want to practice this activity orally before having students try it with writing, and just do one conjunction at a time. Because is the easiest. So I found that starting with because is easy with students. But if I give the kernel sentence, the teacher was happy, I can say the teacher was happy because we raised our hand. The teacher was happy, but she still gave us homework. The teacher was happy, so she gave us longer recess. And then, so that teacher was happy is my independent clause, and because we raised our hand is that dependent clause. So in looking at this in grades 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, if you think about this in a single paragraph outline, I've already created my topic sentence. I'm identifying, I'm using evidence from the text to identify my key details. My key details could be my kernel sentence. Each detail then I can use a because, but, so, or I can use a what, where, when, how to make my writing better. And so some of these sentence level skills actually help us when we get to the single paragraph outline. So why do we practice conjunctions? It helps develop the ability to write expanded sentences. It checks in on student comprehension. It develops analytical and deeper thinking. It fosters close reading. It assesses the ability to use new vocabulary words correctly. It develops the ability to craft linguistically complex sentences that use written rather than oral language conventions. It enhances reading comprehension by familiarizing the students with more complex syntax and sentence structure, and it provides a way to develop topic and concluding sentences. So this is the Writing Revolution example. Again, they have the template on those free resources that you can plug in your own there, but I have spring is a terrific season. Spring is a terrific season because the weather gets warmer. Spring is a terrific season, but it rains a lot. Spring is a terrific season, so I look forward to it each year. This is another because, but in a second grade model using their curriculum. It's another day activity, and then they went into different types of sentences. So we'll dive into why that's important right now. So we want to promote the use of complex sentences. We want to improve reading comprehension. We want to enable students to vary sentence types. We want to boost vocabulary development. We want to encourage close reading and references to text. We want to check student comprehension. We want to enable students to extend their responses. And we want to provide a good option for topic and concluding sentences. This list on this side has the subordinating conjunctions teaching order. These top 10 are awesome to start with. We all know fanboys, but I just made it more colorful. So coordinating conjunctions and subordinating conjunctions also help support the structure and expanding of sentences. We have the 4 basic types of sentences, and we want to practice these so that students can vary sentence structure. We want to provide, a way to help improve the topic and concluding sentences in a paragraph. We want to introduce students to forming questions, and we want to help students learn punctuation. Like I said, grammar, punctuation, handwriting should all be embedded in the writing instruction. So sentence combining, there's a video linked here of Dr. Anita Archer. She's phenomenal. We're not going to watch it, but you can go watch it on your own. I don't think we have time to watch it, but she teaches how to teach sentence combining with her great humor and her expertise. So I just wanted to link that in there for you. But when we teach kids to combine sentences, we're effectively teaching grammar and usage. We want to encourage our students to produce more complex sentences. We want to enable our students to see various options for crafting sentences. And we want to expose our students to varied writing structures and enhance their syntactic flexibility, and help students focus on what is important to include in a sentence, and then just improve their overall fluency in writing. So if I use the sentence, Nate took the subway every day, Nate did not like the subway, Nate needed to get to work, I have some options of how I can combine this sentence. Although Nate did not like the subway, he took it every day because he needed to get to work. Or Nate didn't like the subway, he took it every day because he needed to get to work. So this is where I challenge you to make a plan. Look at the pacing guides from, Writing Revolution, Keys to Literacy. Look at sentence level skills. Think about your curriculum. What comprehension strategies are you using? What is the text structure that you're dealing with? And explicitly teach the text structure, because we want kids to see that our text has structure, but also our writing has structure. And we're going to dive into that in just a minute. But also creating a plan to embed your grammar and your handwriting. We didn't talk about sentence scramble, but sentence scramble is really fun. This is where I give a shout out to AI for making life easy. I can now go into a building and model sentence scramble without even reading the text, which is bad practice, but being able to take the curriculum, take the Utah standards, take key details, main idea, I can ask AI to provide me a 10-word sentence with the main idea to scramble, and I can do an I do, where I do a think aloud, and then we can do it together, and I can do a sentence scramble with the main idea. We can then talk about the main idea, and I can split my class into 4 corners, and they can each have their own sentence scramble to now unscramble. And those are the key details. And by the end, when we share out or we, walk the room, we then have the main idea and we have 4 key details from the text that we're unscrambling, and then we turn it into writing. Sentence builders, sentence expansion, because, but, so, any kind of sentence type activities, conjunctions, subordinating conjunctions, sentence combining, topic sentence, concluding sentence, single paragraphs, outlines with scaffolds, single paragraph outlines without scaffolds, and then some drafts. All of these skills, think about how could you embed that into what you're already doing. Look at your content areas, look at your curriculum. How can you use these skills and just add them into your instruction so that the writing and the reading are reciprocal, and it isn't a separate time, and it is aiding comprehension. So these are the Writing Revolution pacing guides. I said they're online. There's K2 ones, there's first grade, sample years, third grade. We're going to look at the 5th grade one. Everything has that gradual release. So we have that I do, we do, you do. It's explicit instruction. We have sentence level activities, and then we have paragraph level activities and scaffolds. And like I said, they have middle school as well. I'm going to kind of shift gears into Foursquare writing. This is an approach, method, strategy that I used heavily in dual immersion when I taught. But having your Foursquare, I call my high frequency words my glue words. Students really struggle to write high frequency words, and we know that orthographic mapping the words is effective. I've also found that using them in our writing is effective. So in the middle, I have my topic. So if I'm teaching you, I'm teaching my teachers. And now my first thing that we're going to brainstorm is what are some things that teachers can do? And I'm going to say read to kids. What do teachers have? A lot of books, and teachers are nice. Now maybe I can combine it in that Foursquare and have teachers can read to kids, teachers have a lot of books, teachers are nice. This is like kindergarten, right? So in kindergarten, we can write with our high frequency words. We can provide sentence frames where they can add the topic, they have their glue transition word, and then they have their response of what they've brainstormed. So doing a text like a snowman story, I can do is, have, and has, and can. And then I can turn it into is, has, and can. And then I did a second has. So there were 4 sentences in this text. I also have it to where the sentence frames are there. It's amazing. Last year, I had a kindergarten and first grade teams at a building that was really struggling. Writing was just non-existent. And they dove right in with the Foursquare method, and their kids excelled. And this year they've dove into drawing to brainstorm and really thinking about their percentage of time writing, 40% of the time planning, and then 20% actually writing and 40% revising, adding more details and talking about it and really adding the oral language component to it. And they've had huge success with writing, but you have to start somewhere. Other districts and charters that I work with have really ran with Writing Revolution and started with the sentence basics and really built up their kids' skill sets and use their content to do that to help with the comprehension. And it's been so fun to watch that. These are my talking people to remind you again, I can't say it enough, or language. Our kids need to talk. They need to talk. They need to process their ideas. They need a chance to verbalize it. They need to hear the language, the complex language. They need to hear the vocabulary. Too often in older grades, we see writing tasks or prompts where it's a complex text and the kids haven't got a chance to build adequate background knowledge, to be explicitly taught the vocabulary, to have a chance to turn and talk or share with partner, and be able to process the language. And then they're asked to respond to something and they don't have the language needed to respond. So these are my people to remind you they have to talk. You have to talk. And sometimes our think alouds are actually answering the question that we're asking them, but we're modeling the language for them. We're providing that for them. And kids need language. And this is where I put a little plug in for an explicit language curriculum. They have an intervention one, but they also have come out with like tier 1 supports. And honestly, this is just something we have done a great job with phonological awareness and phonics, but we are lacking in building background knowledge and vocabulary. Our kids are struggling. Our kids don't have narrative discourse. They're not getting adequate language supports. And I love this because it has the icons and the gesture for the, the character, the setting, the problem, the feeling, the plan, the end, or, if there's a second problem. It's been amazing to see it with multi-language learners, but also our SPED kiddos and even any Arctic speech kids, just getting that extra support. But what I've loved to see is teachers using gestures and icons, even for main idea, key detail, using the clouds, using those with their curriculum as supports for their students, but giving their kids the opportunity to speak. And Story Champs has amazing writing templates that go along with the icons. And so I'm finding more that Story Champs is on everybody's shelves. People bought Story Champs years ago, and in some buildings, like they're just sitting there, but it is a great scaffold for our kids that struggle with language. So just know there's supports out there, and we do need to explicitly teach language. And I'm going to stop with my explicit language for a minute and get back to writing, but I do feel like we have done such a great job with phonological awareness and phonics, but we are lacking that other side of the rope, and we got to figure out a way to help our kids. Now we're going to dive into kind of scaffolds for content writing. Two great scaffolds are top-down topic web and 2-column notes. I love 2-column notes. It's been fun to see teachers implement them, and it's been fun to look at the structure, text structure, and then figure out how can I make kids identify that when reading a text. Oh, compare and contrast. Now, oh, it's a narrative. Oh, it's an informational. So what am I going to do with it? And now take that text structure and use it with their writing instruction. So this quote says, really, at-risk or developing readers need explicit instruction and systematic, direct, engaging, success-oriented. By using webs or 2-column notes, teachers take the invisible thinking process of an expert reader and they make it visible for the student. And I love that because I'm a visual learner and our kids need structure. Our kids need ways to organize. Our kids, once we teach them ideas on how to do it, maybe I'm great at 2-column notes, but I struggle with top-down topic web. That's okay. It's a scaffold. I always say, in teaching math in first grade, it drives me crazy when teachers are teaching number line, 10 frame, tallies, every strategy to proficiency. And I'm like, find what works for you and go with it. Like, it's the same with writing, right? The organization, the webs, 2-column notes, top-down topic web. What works? What helps you organize your thoughts the best and go with it?
Amy, your slide deck stopped showing. Just wanted to interject just in case.
Oh, well, let me stop sharing and reshare. Uh-oh.
It's just me. Maybe I hit something. Let's ask Angela. Can you see her slide deck? Yeah, okay, it might be a Jennifer problem. So keep going and I'll
Oh,
figure out
it's
what I
okay. I just reshared it. Did it
Okay.
work? Reshare it?
Got it now.
Okay. Whoops, but now I gotta go back. Okay. So, um, these top-down topic webs, it honestly helps kids think about reducing the cognitive load when we are providing these scaffolds. We're mapping out a structure for them before writing, after writing, during writing. They don't have to hold the whole organizational plan in their working memory, right? We're giving them flexibility to be used. Maybe it's a pre-writing in the brainstorm, or maybe it's a summary after a chapter for reading comprehension, but we are providing these scaffolds and really helping them. Two column notes, so engaging. Um, I have a link here that has different types of two column notes that are there. Again, okay, that's my plug. Get them talking. That cute little girl speaking into her whisper phone. If you haven't learned anything from me, hopefully you walk away saying my kids need to talk more. I always share my biggest regret now is people used to walk in my classroom when I was teaching writing, and my management was amazing. And I would say, writing time is, and everyone would whisper, quiet time. And those little angels were all writing, and I had 29 kindergartners, and they were just writing, writing, writing. And I had, 4 groups of them throughout the day. And it was quiet during writing time because they thought it was so cool to respond to my writing time is, and they were great quiet writers. They weren't deep thinkers. They were quietly complying. They were not actively generating ideas, right? So writing time should not be quiet. Kids should get to process their ideas. And that is one thing now that I'm like, dang, that is one thing I wish I would have known back then. I used AI to do a writing activity with 5th grade focused on their Utah Seed standards. I had it generate a passage for me. I asked it for 65% multisyllabic words. I asked it to be an informational passage, about 300 words, 30s two column notes to go along with it. And two column notes, you can either give them both sides. You can give them what you want. So here I have, evaporation, condensation, and they just have to fill in the details of what happened. I could just give them what happened and they have to fill in the big idea, or you can give it blank and let them generate. But AI, so nice to be able to help generate some of these things that we can naturally embed after they're doing, their simulations, after they're doing their matrices, whatever it is. Now we can dive into having a text that goes along with it. So this is top-down topic notes organizer from Keys to Literacy. So we have the informational, so we have that introduction, the body, the conclusion. In the opinion argument, we have same introduction, body, conclusion, but now we're teaching kids, instead of main idea and details in the body, we're focused on the reason. And in my informational introduction, I'm introducing a topic, but in my opinion or argument, I'm stating my position as well as introducing the topic. In the conclusion, in my informational, I'm restating and providing closure, but in my conclusion of my opinion and argument, I'm restating my position and providing closure. In my narrative, I have that beginning, middle, and end. But again, teach kids structure, right? Like structure reduces cognitive load. It's great for kids. This is that 5-minute warning. 40, 20, 40 thing I talked about earlier. So think and plan. That 40% of my time in my think, I can do 2 column notes. In my plan, I can dive deeper with a top-down topic web. I have my little say guide to the side because not forgetting they have to talk. But really, if you think about your day and your writing, when you do a writing activity embedded in your content, are you doing 40% of the time thinking and planning? Are you providing organizational structure? Are you only writing for 20% of the time? And then that other 40%, are you diving into a revision, adding more details? Not a revision like correcting spelling, editing, but can I add more to this? Can I expand, right? This is where because, but, so come into play. This is where what, when, where sentence expansion comes into play. Our revision time should be adding to it. Single paragraph outline. Writing Revolution has great templates online. You need to make sure that they know how to do a topic sentence or the concept of a topic sentence. And then you're going to practice brainstorming, relate details about a specific topic, and then teach them how to organize them, and then have them start generating their own topic sentences for that topic. Have students select and categorize and sequence the details that they use in their outline, and then write notes for the details, and then generate their concluding sentence at the bottom. So topic sentence, concluding sentence, having students kind of rank their material in order of importance, eliminate irrelevant information, put points in logical order. We want students to understand the concept of a topic sentence and have them distinguish a topic sentence from supporting details and generating detail sentences, and then match their details with appropriate topic sentences, and really get rid of those least relevant details. This is the single paragraph outline that Writing Revolution has online. I've created different ones. I've also turned a lot of curriculums into PowerPoint presentations where the topic sentence normally is generated, right? I'm either restating a question or I'm answering a question. And so curriculums all have questions with our text. So using that as an I'm doing a think aloud, brainstorming, and then, we do turn and talk, tell your neighbor what you're thinking, and then the you do, they actually get to generate their idea on paper after they've said it out loud and heard you model the language, and then diving into the details, right? Find the evidence in text. In our core standards, this is where I go back to Utah core standards and using AI to say Writing Revolution single paragraph outline using sentence level skills, Utah core for whatever grade. This is the content area. The text that I'm using is from this curriculum, and it's titled this, and my purpose for comprehension is this, and my grammar that I'm focused on is this, and have it create you an explicit I do, we do, you do lesson. A lot of these can be done 15, 20 minutes. And it's awesome to see how kids now, some of their curriculums have online platforms where they can enter information, and instead of just answering one question, they're answering it in paragraph form, which is so fun to see that transition. There's scaffolded single paragraph outlines. The I do, we do, you do, I'll die on that hill too, because when we model the process of creating an outline with the whole class, when we brainstorm, when we talk about relating to details, when we craft that topic sentence and put details in categories or sequence things logically, and help kids generate concluding sentences, they need that explicit instruction. We just don't learn how to create a paragraph, just like we don't learn how to create a who and a do, or a sentence expansion, or a sentence combining, or the conjunctions because, but, so, right? That's not something that we just learn. We need to be explicitly taught. And then having students start to do their own single paragraph outlines. And then turn those outlines into maybe draft paragraphs, but not all single paragraph outlines become drafts, right? Writing is not about the product, it's about the process. And we have to kind of throw out that whole, like, I need to be able to grade something because it's the process. So now that we made it to the end, if you have a piece of paper in front of you, this reflection form has become one of my favorite. I got it from Keys to Literacy, but it's something that's squared, that you learn that squares with your beliefs, a question that you have that's surrounding in your head, and then a triangle, 3 points you want to remember from tonight. So you can choose to do a square, circle, and triangle. I would at least ask that you do a triangle, but just take a second. You can type in the chat if you want accountability for doing it. You can write it on a piece of paper. If we were in person, I would make you write for a minute and then make you share it with a partner because we always speak before we write, but we don't have time for that. So talk to yourself. It's okay. It's normal-ish. Do a quick reflection. I linked all the resources here. You're not supposed to talk when you give people a task, but Anita Archer says you're supposed to be quiet. But because of time, I'm not going to be quiet. But Jen, I will turn the time back over to you.
Hey, you're at least telling them what it should look like.
Right?
And I'm going to do my 3 points. Oral language, you have to talk about what you're going to write about. Super helpful. Helpful even in the editing process, like read it out loud. Oh, wait, missed something there. Explicit instruction, the need to teach. I think even as a teacher, I did a lot of assigning writing and way less teaching of writing, mostly because no one ever taught us how to teach writing. So thank you for helping us to know some new moves to be able to use. And I think the last one is I'm trying to like those were my top two that came real quick. There were so many things. Even just like the intentionality, like thinking through like with the I do, we do, you do, sometimes it's many I do's or many we do's before we actually get to the you. I think people often think it's like one I, one we, and now you can just do it. But sometimes it takes more. Like it's not, it might be an I do, we, before we get to you know? And I think there's a misconception there that comes out. Well, Amy, that was fabulous. So many ideas in such a short amount of time. I think the recording will be really helpful for people to be able to be like, she gave me that great idea, but we got so many, we might need to go back and revisit. So don't worry, if you were here tonight, you will get the recording. And for those that missed it, we'll also, for upcoming sessions, we have 2 left for this school year. Our next one is content area reading instruction, really how to leverage your science and social studies to develop literacy skills, knowing that if you understand what you're reading in the content areas, it can deepen your understanding, just like Amy was sharing. There'll be some vocabulary, some morphology, and some background knowledge, and as well as comprehension with that. And that will be more upper elementary to secondary in terms of focus. And then we have Dr. Lisa Brown, who will be talking about dyad reading. Dyad reading was actually just an intervention that was put into legislation this session. So for those that don't know what it is, it might be good to know that particular strategy. And this one, the evidence base is 2nd grade and up. So if you're, I saw a kindergarten teacher here tonight, not for you, I would skip that session. But if you're in 2nd grade or higher, this evidence-based practice is really powerful and gets multiple years of acceleration and reading progress for some of your lowest readers in just 15 minutes a day. So highly encourage you to attend or at least sign up when you have a chance and get that recording. And that is the end of the series. These are all the ones that we have. We are working on getting them all posted to our YouTube channel, and then we'll list them on the website. So if you look at any of these that we've covered through the year, like, oh, I didn't even know Dr. Shanahan or Dr. Downs was here, we're going to have all of those posted here shortly. And if you are a member, you'll get an email saying, hey, they're ready. And you can go spend your summer revisiting some of the stuff we've done this year. So with that said, Amy, thank you again for all you did. I can certainly, I'll put those links to sign up in the chat box here in just a second. Go into the chat box real quick. Yes. And Jody, thank you for sharing your takeaway with Amy too. Amy, any final thoughts? Just want to give you the floor to say thank you. But anything else?
Thank you for coming. And if you want any support, always reach out. I love to think through things. I love to learn and process with other people. So
Love
feel
that.
free to reach out.
And why don't let me stop sharing and let you share yours back because you had your contact info on your last slide. Why I pull up the flyers. Ooh, 7 o'clock. Okay, there's Dr. Brown's, and I'm gonna get Nancy's and get that one in for you. And you guys are all set. Thank you again. Have a great rest of your evening. I will turn off the recording.